what I want to tell really our fans is, look, it's only going to get better, okay? We're only going to get better, all right? I don't want anybody to think that this was a one-shot Cinderella magical journey that just happened. No, it's real, all right? This is exactly what it was supposed to happen. And I understand that based on history, from what's happened in the past, like, I understand you have a season like this, it's easy to feel like this was kind of a one-shot, magical, lucky, cute story, which I'm tired of hearing. It was none of that. It's easy to think that, but no, every move that me and Dan make, it has been made to sustain what we are building. All right. Every single move, and I'll say every single move we make and every single move we do not make is to sustain what we have been building. So,
hey, what up, though? People, welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. Hey, it's never a bad time for Brad Holmes to, reinvigorate. This guy is definitely sure of what he's going to do. And that's where the trust, I'm just going to give him the trust. He has earned it to this point. But I understand if people want to say, hey, wait, there are some questions here, especially until they're answered, man. Stephen Baffy says this, though. He got Kirby in the third round, Amon-Ra in the fourth, Rodrigo in the sixth, Barnes in the fourth, and others. He can get not crap for about 3 drafts in the third or later and still be way ahead of the curve. And I am looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in this draft. We all believe that he's going to cook up. But we all now, like we said, the contrast of one defensive end out after we already believed we needed a defensive end. And it wasn't like that one was just a civilian. He wasn't just a rotational player. He was one of your better pass rushers after Aiden Hutchinson went down. So it's just like, let's see what he's going to do here, Brad. We trust you, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And if I'm being completely transparent, I didn't really like what Brad Holmes said. I thought it was a little bit condescending. And here's the thing. I get it if he hears some of the ridiculous chatter, which there is a lot of ridiculous chatter. I will give you that. But here's what I will say. Nobody is saying, oh, fire Brad Holmes. Nobody is saying like, oh, my God, it's over. But at the end of the day, if you don't get it done, if you don't win the big game, you're not above reproach. And I understand that there were a lot of reasons that hindered the Lions going as far as they did. And a lot of those reasons were injuries to guys that Brad Holmes either drafted or signed that no doubt would have helped. But at the end of the day, and this is a talking point that I'm going to continue to harp upon, and I will hopefully for not much longer, we can't also act like the Lions won the hypothetical Super Bowl, because hypothetical Super Bowls don't exist. We're talking about we want moves that will best set them up to get one, to get over the top. And Brad knows better than we do, but that doesn't mean that we can't have opinions or questions. That's what we do.
We will question. Steve Wild says the Barnes signing, mind-boggling too. And we got to talk about this. Derek Barnes, 3 years, $25.5 million, man. And you know what? This is for me, man. This deal with Derek Barnes, it's another bout of faithful trust. Calvin Shepard, your defensive coordinator. We all know he was your linebackers coach before that.
This guy.
And, yeah, that guy over there, KG Shepard. If that guy is comfortable with Derek Barnes getting this bag, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust you. We haven't been at this juncture. I know that even though people are saying, hey, look, the cap is going up, some of these other deals are small, they're not going to be impactful to what the Lions can do, like the Davenport deal, you still want to see this team go out there and do what they have to make the necessary strides forward, because teams aren't just staying adjacent. You're seeing other squads in this NFC get better. You're seeing teams that were behind you and not even on the radar, like the Commanders, getting better and jumping in and then above you in certain certain respects. And that's where, you want to see this Detroit Lions team, with the moves that they're making, the money that they're spending, the draft picks that they're going to have, go out there and make moves that put this team into that upper echelon, that other tier. We talked about it right after the Super Bowl. There was another tier of defense that the Lions needed, and obviously being healthy, they're closer to that. And you just want to see Brad Holmes put this team in a position to have that after a couple years that were really good,
Yes.
but they didn't necessarily meet the mark.
Absolutely. And one of the moves that they made, and this is the in Koolaid, you said it off air, but I think we can say this too on air. This is the weekend of trust, because again, if you can't question a Derek Barnes re-signing in conjunction with a Davenport re-signing while releasing Zadarius Smith, then I don't know what you can question. Not saying it's bad. I'm just saying nobody expected it, and if you said you did, you're a liar.
Bro, I'm a Brad Holmes bot.
Absolutely.
I've been on this show fired up about really everything Brad Holmes has done. But to this point, this one was one that made me not question who he is, but question what's going to happen ahead. Yeah. All the other times it was like, oh, I know what he's going to do in the draft because he cooks up in the draft. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, I know he's going to go. We know what types of players he's going to sign. We kind of knew those things. But this is one that's at a crossroads in which I'm at least glad that he's making the declaration that, listen, we know where we're going from here. Yeah. We know what we're doing. And to me, these guys have called their shot. They've knocked it out the park. These moves are so questionable that they lead me to believe that this is part of some type of plan. It's not a random or just a contracting like with Troy Weaver. There were certain moves that were like, bro, that was just a money thing, and it didn't make sense. Like Sadiq Bey, he wanted more money. They just was like, we're gonna just trade you, and it was like, but why? You could have waited to see if anyone was gonna throw in the bag. You own his rights. Yeah. But and so that's why at least with Brad Holmes, I don't believe he's doing those types of things, and that's where you question it because on the surface you're wondering. But you know what? We got to go to the voice of reason on this one, man.
Yeah, go to the voice
of
reason.
JB Swoop.
Just wanted to let you guys in on something. Derek Barnes is currently at the facility right now. He's doing his official signing and everything like that. So he is having a kind of a mini press conference going on right now. So when asked, he said Derek Barnes said his biggest reason for coming back to Detroit was that he had unfinished business and he felt it was here in Detroit. So if that makes you guys feel a little bit better that he was committed to trying to come back here and do big things for Detroit.
I mean, listen, the narrative that we've heard now about our Detroit sports teams over the last several years is that players want to be here. Winning helps. The revitalization of the city helps. And seeing how passionate this fan base is helps. Cade Cunningham was like, bro, I want to win right here. This is coming off of 2 historically bad seasons, and they were looking across the bow and talking about what they saw in the Lions verse and realized those are the same fans. And now they're starting to experience that as well. You look at the reception that these players get when they come here, like Zadarius Smith and others, of course. And Derek Barnes, who this organization took a chance on him, I'm glad to hear that he has unfinished business here in Detroit. And obviously from the other way around, we want to know what from Brad Holmes or from even Calvin Shepard, what do they see in a Derek Barnes as to why they are trusting him moving forward? I do want to know their answers because I'm okay with the Derek Barnes signing, but it's an interesting one when you put it in comparison and contrast, like you stated, with all of the other moves thus far.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will just say that. And I think that there are a couple of different ways in which you can look at it. Obviously, Derek Barnes had a really nice year in 2023, and in 2024 Derek Barnes was playing the best ball of his career up until his injury, although it was in an extremely short sample size. And the reason and the evidence to that is that Derek Barnes in his 3 games only gave up a 56 passer rating when targeted, which was by far the best in his career. However, here's my issue with it, and I don't even want to say issue because I'm not mad at it. I just have a couple of questions, and I gotta give my boy Lucas Klotz a shout out because he was in the firing squad this weekend from one Derek Barnes actually, because Derek Barnes actually responded to his video in which Lucas basically said that this wasn't the move that he thinks that the Lions should have made. And Lucas used a word. It was a word that I was searching for last Friday, but it was on the tip of my tongue, and I just couldn't find it. He said it. I'm going to piggyback. Shout out to Lucas. He referred to Derek Barnes, especially Derek Barnes at 3 years, $25.5 million, as a dirty R word, replaceable. And that's what I'm kind of thinking right now, that Derek Barnes, he's arguably the fourth best linebacker on the team, and he makes the most money. And I understand that Jack Campbell and Rodrigo are on rookie contracts, and Alex Anzalone got paid a couple of years ago. But I think with Derek Barnes, you could find somebody who could do just as good or better at a cheaper cost. And oh, by the way, and I know that this is water under the bridge, but I said that, I got to mention a name. I know it's not going to happen, but don't accuse me of not at least having an idea. What I would have done if I were Brad Holmes is I would have let Derek Barnes walk, and I would have given the contract to a name that you are all very familiar with.